I feel like I should give some sort of introduction. My name is Logan. I'm 18 and I just started college. It's a community college and it's actually in the next town over from where I grew up. So I have to save cash on and I decide to keep living at home. Although my mom works a lot, so I'm mostly left home alone. I work at a part time job at a campus building sites on the stage. I should be happy, but I'm not. I don't know why. It's just a tired feeling in my gut. It's like something's just not right, and I think I know when it started. But first, some context. When I was a kid, I used to really like dinosaurs. Even today, I still kinda do. I've always thought that they were big, strong, and powerful creatures. I collected just about anything involving dinosaurs around them toys, books, movies, you name it. So I was even allowed to have my own grandparents' old computer. I collected video games. Though a lot of the majority of them were cartoon style educational games, but they were still fun. One of them was a bit different, and I remember it still quite well to this day. It was just a simple PC, hunting down the game, wandering around and shooting whatever dinosaurs got in your way. When I was young, I was always afraid of getting eaten by more hostile dinosaurs, so I never went after them, just the herbivores. There was also an observation mode where you could just wander around the map and the predators will ignore you. I spent most of the time when I was bored just wandering around in the observation mode. I found that the developers put up some little locations, gave them some feedback on stories and everything. The one that was most interesting was about the temple in the Aptale, named Ancient Temple Area. I found it to be a good hiding place when I was brave enough to hunt after a T Rex, since it can't be seen to climb up steep surfaces. While a majority of the temple was surrounded by high walls and lava, while I was hunting there, I heard a creepy voice. It creeped me out at first, and then I realized it was part of the game. According to the lore of the game, this temple was a place where an ancient civilization worshipped some sort of velociraptor god. This interested me, and I wondered if there was some secret way to summon this creature and maybe hunt it. I tried everything I could think of, to which it went as far as using raptor call in the middle of the temple. While nothing worked, as I always fascinated with the past area, like I used to more complex games that would usually have a reason for that, like a purpose. Disappointed, I carried on and eventually forgot about the game entirely. I knew there were three more games in the series, but I never played them. That was until recently. I just ended up reminiscing about the game and looked up at the Wikia for it. I had a thing for trivia, so I was pretty much read the whole Wikia. Just to my surprise, the game had been released on mobile phones and PSN, and after a little more research, it turns out that it was the second and third games, the ones I have been wanting to play. So naturally, I brought the games to download them, and once I was done, I was a little disappointed to find out that only the iOS versions got updates, like the new dinosaurs and such. But I was still happy to relive a bit of my childhood. When I started up the game, everything was normal. In fact, it was just a few weeks before anything bizarre ever happened. I was hunting in the Fort Chasm area, and by now I had unlocked the laser rifle and was wiping out the entire islands. When I had passed out a Stonehenge area, for a split second, I thought I saw a dark figure on the corner of the screen. From what I was saw, it looked like a pepticle and maybe even more human sized. I thought it was just a glitch at first, and I was playing the PSP version and I was prone to be a little buggy. But then I heard a voice, instantly recognized it as one from the temple from the first game. This one was part of the second, so it shouldn't be there. Maybe the second game was built on top of the first game's data and was just accidentally left it in. I figured that, or maybe it was just left as a joke or something. I didn't think much of it until I heard it again. I looked around and found that the game had a same figure as well. I didn't think it was a glitch anymore. It's too obvious. After it happened the third time, I tried to catch the figure and realized that it was leading me somewhere. I followed it to a titular Fort Keskin, where the screen faded to black and a cutscene played. I knew this couldn't be normal. These games don't have cutscenes, and it would have been in the location before all this happened. Although there wasn't anything too weird about the scene itself, it still used the game's normal dated graphics. It showed several people with guns gathered around, closed gate of the fort, and then something smashed into the other side. The T-Rex's roar could be heard from the side until its head broke through the wall, roaring at the people inside who started to shoot at the dinosaur. It pulled its head back and smashed into the gate, throwing it open. As the dinosaur charged in, the people ran screaming, but there was no escape. The T-Rex rampaged through the fort, stepping on people and eating the others. It wasn't like it was extremely violent or anything. Nothing you wouldn't see in a normal game these days. In fact, normal games may have been more violent than this. With a little bit of blood there, and it must have been pixelated, and a little silly. I was still baffled that I was actually trying to see a cutscene as the camera panned to the open gate, where I saw that figure again, vaguely outlined against the darkened backdrop by a white glow, followed by the temple voice. Before my character was suddenly killed and eaten by a raptor, unlike normal, the surrounding area was all black, and instead of the usual, "You died, would you like to restart" box, I got a message box that said, "Keep hunting." With no options, I pressed the buttons on my controller, but nothing happened. Just the animation of the raptor eating the hunter. I stared at it and realized that I wasn't hunting raptors, and the PSP version does not spawn dinosaurs you weren't hunting. After that moment, the screen faded to black and returned home to the start screen. I went back to the Fort Kreskin and tried to get to the cutscene to play again, but I couldn't get it to work. Tried to turn off the game and went to bed, and as I was drifting off to sleep, I could have sworn I heard the temple sound voice again, but could have been imagining it. I sometimes get nightmares and paranoia when I sleep. I scare myself easily, so when I awoke the next morning, I didn't feel so well. I wasn't that I was well rested, I was a bit on edge, figuring that my parents were probably or my paranoia was getting the better of me. I sat down and started taking notes of all this. The thought of it being that if I get out of the system, I'll feel better. Although right now I'm sitting here and looking at what I've written, I actually feel worse. I never thought that I actually be publishing something like this out there. Maybe I'm just crazy. I guess there is a chance that someone else could make a better sense of this. I'll post again if anything changes. Alright, my pretties, and that was Carnivores 11 13 13. A dinosaur creepypasta. Um I actually thought this was a pretty good dinosaur game related creepypasta. I thought it was a pretty nice game. Basically, it's about, this guy who has his love for dinosaurs. It seems pretty good, and I do personally like the plot line, and it does go with, the flow of everything else. I personally thought that the plot line of this was actually quite interesting. The person spoke his love for dinosaurs. And the fact that he plays this game, there was this weird version of the game he's playing. He doesn't even realize it, but until he, you know, tries everything to get out of one scene, but he turns it off, turns it back on again to see if anything happened, but it didn't happen. Now, most of the time it would probably be cliche, but at this one, I can honestly see it believable. But I mean, I'm glad that the story did not end, with somebody smashing the game or the computer all of a sudden gets caught on fire or something like that. Because most Lost Episode pastas and even gaming and some gaming pastas that are cliche and garbage have done that. So I could definitely give it that. But in the whole honesty, I thought this story was pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty good story involving someone with dinosaurs. The grammar was pretty good as well as the sentence structuring. Although I did spot a few grammatical errors in the story, so yeah, I mean there was a couple grammatical errors, but it was still readable. I was still able to read this without any problem. I still thought it was a good story. Now, one thing I want to note, guys, is that you probably have noticed that the mic quality is different. That's because I, bought a new headset. So, yeah, hope you guys like it. So, my old headset for, with the mic wasn't working the best. And, yeah, but this one's working much better now. So, you should be able to hear my voice in better quality on this. So, anyways, I guess with that being the case and that being said, despite the two errors and the issues that I have with a few issues I have with the story, I mean, there's not really too many issues, but I could definitely say the one thing I'm kind of curious, but is also kind of wondering about was like, why did, why did this game all of a sudden have glitch? Like, was it a hacked game that somebody was playing or something? I mean, I'm really curious and want to know because I have a feeling maybe this was a hacked game or something, but it's still a pretty good story. I personally enjoyed it. I thought it was a really great creepypasta. Definitely a pretty good gaming one involving dinosaurs because I was hoping to find a dinosaur related creepypasta, and this one was actually quite interesting. It does have a good concept. I personally like the story. And I will leave a link in the description for anybody who wants to go check out this story. So I'll be sure to leave a link in the description. So that way, if any of you guys want to go check out this story, you are free to. It is on the regular Creepypasta Wiki for any of you guys who are wanting to know. So there's one thing you guys can keep in mind. A pretty good story. I recommend this story for any of you guys who are dinosaur fans or gaming pasta fans or whatever. Feel free to go check out this story. This is a fun story. You will not regret it. It's a fun story. I actually had fun reading it despite the grammatical errors. I think there were a few punctuation errors in the story. I'm not too sure, but I think there were a few punctuation errors. But despite that, I still thought it was a great story. So, with that being said and that being the case, like I'm always going to continue to say, and like I always will say, to the author of the story, I don't know who you are, so if you're the author of the story who happens to stumble upon this video, feel free to let me know who you are in the comments below, and I will be sure to give you proper credit. So, until I could find out who the author is, I'm going to leave this story as anonymous for now. So, anyways, yeah, like I'm saying before, this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas, and this is just simply my own personal thoughts. I give this story I'm going to give this one a 9.5 out of 10. Mainly because while it's a great story, it does have a great concept. I'm really glad it did not end with, someone's computer going up in flames after or computer just shut it down randomly or anything. I mean, I'm glad it didn't involve that because that's how a lot of gaming pastas and lost episode pastas tend to do. And I find that to be a cliche ending, but this one honestly, I mean, it kind of makes me wonder what will happen if the protagonist encounters this game again or something. But it's still a pretty fun story. I still like it. I personally thought it was enjoyable. So, anyways, what did you guys personally think of this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better. Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Lion Queen. I want to thank you so much for watching today's video, and if you're brand new here to this channel, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.